as Jen said, I work at the Canada Science and Technology Museum, and I spend a significant amount of my time, aside from emails, collecting, researching, and interpreting land and marine transportation. And while these artifacts are generally the biggest, they're only a small percentage of our collection. So we have over 1 million 3D and 2D artifacts, and these are stored in 4 warehouses, 1 archive, and 2% of which are on display in our museum. So these things, these objects, in addition to art interactives like the Crazy Kitchen and the tunnels with lights, which is actually the digital network, are what bring our people to our museum. And that's sort of what I want to talk about tonight, is the relationship between museum artifacts and museum visitors, and what the former can offer the latter. So the images that you see in this slide here, I'm not really good with tech, which is ironic because I work at a tech museum. But they are from the Canadian National Archive, and they're also images like this one that we took when we first built our building. So this is the 6400, one of our awesome locomotives, no bias, coming into the museum, being pushed by the CN locomotive as well. So an artifact, more than anything else, I believe, is a storyteller. Whether it's reflecting the grand narrative or a personal history, a technical innovation or consumer culture writ large, it has a story to tell. Now, with locomotives like this one, and my experience with them, generally size is compelling with our visitors. They're sort of wowed, and they're often very young, so they're really wowed. But what we want to do is get our visitors to interact a little bit more with our artifacts. So this doesn't have a link with that, but we want them to ask more inward questions of the artifacts. So through text panels, floor staff, special programming, we get them to ask, what is it, who made it, why did they make it, and what did it do? Now, while some find this easy, others find this very, very challenging. So last spring, we were doing an update to one of our exhibits, Communications, and we brought out a few artifacts onto the floor, one of which was a 1960s taxi cab radio transceiver. It comes in 12 parts. It doesn't look like a telephone or a radio at all. And we asked our audiences to look at this. You don't know what it is. What do you think it is? And we asked one young boy who was about 6 or 7, how old do you think it is? And they're so confident, right? And so he was like, I think it's older than someone who's dead. And we thought that was awesome because it shows us that kids have no sense of time, but also that artifacts are great opportunities to learn, and they're also wonderful opportunities for personal connections. So for that young boy, his parent then stooped down and explained why that answer was wrong, and then tried to contextualize the artifact a little bit more, which, as I said, was kind of challenging. So back to the artifact as a storyteller. We try and place it within its contextual period by pairing it with photographs or pieces of trade literature, and so that we can get the visitors to ask questions about the period in which it was used. So in that sense, an artifact can speak to a time period. And we find that very important because it allows the visitors to have a better understanding of what this object may have played in the people's lives, the meaning and significance that it held, that sort of thing. The artifact is also a great way to ask yourself questions. So we did this neat event last fall called speed dating with our artifacts. So we brought them to a hub, which is a really cool spot downtown, and we set them up. There are about 20 artifacts, and we had people we asked questions. So I had a Sony tape deck, and my two questions, the first one was, what do I prefer, men, women, or both? Getting people to interact with it in a kind of saucy way. And the second question was, would you leave me, and if so, why? And so the former question, kind of gendering artifacts, and the latter really got us to talk about consumer culture. So everyone thought that the Sony tape deck was masculine, and then a lot of people, one person said, I wouldn't leave you because you mean so much to me, and the other person said, I would leave you because there's always something better. So, just really quickly, again, just when you go through your museums, think of your artifacts as storytellers, opportunities to learn and teach, ways to connect to people and places, and ways to reflect on yourself. Thank you.